All right, recording started. I'll share screen and we'll jump back in where we left off, in theory anyway. So can you see the screen okay? P6?
Yep.
Yeah, great. Hey Todd, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Hans. Good to be here. Thanks for taking the time to. Thanks for taking the time to give us a refresher course, or maybe it's new to probably new to Heidi and Deidre, but this is I found it beneficial the other day, so I'm attending as well.
Great, thanks. Okay, so what we have on the screen here is where we left it last time. Just by a quick reminder, we had copied the schedule and pasted it down below in my sandbox down here. So my backup copy is sitting down here, wherever mine is. There we go. So my backup copy of this project, FMA 652, is sitting down here. I put the data date on it so I can know if I mess up above in the live copy that I can just go copy and paste this one back up above. So once that's there, I jump back into the live schedule up above here. Sorry, there is a quicker way to do this, and that's to use the search feature, which I, for some reason, don't love to do. But so now we're back up here, opening up the same project. We had gone through and created the new baseline. So we jumped in here, went into maintain baselines, created the new baseline using the previous schedule as the baseline. So that's been created and added the data date to it. And then after that, we went through and assigned the baseline, which got us the little yellow bars on the bottom that are exactly matching the activities. And I think the last thing that I showed was this little yellow view window that you can expand or collapse. This is how it starts. The blue line represents the current data date, meaning when I'm looking at this schedule, the blue line shows me the date that was last used when I updated the schedule, and you can see it down here also, data date at the bottom. And we're going to drag this forward. I'm going to do this update through the 31st of March. It's highlighting over here on the left side the 4 activities that are active during that yellow window. And those are the activities that I need to update. So I'm actually going to leave this right here, and I'm going to jump back down to my sandbox just so I can play around in it more and not worrying about messing this schedule up, and we can do some testing or mess things up if we want to. But when you're doing this, or when I'm doing this, I just work in this live schedule from now until the update's complete. And if I mess it up, then I can just delete that whole project, go copy the one out of the sandbox and paste it back up above where it's supposed to be. And then I'm back to original. And so I've always got a safety net to catch me. So I'm going to jump down here, just cruise down here to my sandbox again. Jump into FMA 652, open the project. Because I haven't yet, I'm going to go through the baseline creation again real quick. That's strange. What's going on here? Oh, I opened the wrong one. Apologies. My bad. Sorry, everybody. There we go. Nope, that's not the right one either. What in the heck? Well, Fault number 1. Okay, I'm gonna recopy this and so we can play around with it in the baseline. Sorry for the mix up there. Maybe I might have accidentally pasted it into someone else's sandbox. If someone else finds that at some point, apologies, you can just delete it. So do this one more time, copy the project. Who's down here? Sandbox. Paste it in here. I just say yes to all those dialog boxes. You can copy less if you want to, but what the actual heck is going on? I'm using my F5 to refresh the screen trick. So weird. I wonder if I can cut this part out of the training video because this is not very effective use of time right now. Why is that not pasting?
Sit down. Those two that just.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, you're right, dude. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. But that's not also not right. My baselines are mixed up. Oh. Are you kidding me? Does it not copy baselines down below? Now you guys are seeing the extent of my knowledge and the the lack of perhaps my knowledge. This is really strange. I'm not quite sure what's going on. The project baseline is not giving me an option to update or to use a different baseline, which is saying to me that it hasn't copied my baselines down, which is really strange. Okay, well, for the sake of moving forward, I'll work up here and I'll have to work a little more carefully just so I don't do anything I regret. Okay, so FMA 652. Sorry for the trouble, everybody. Great, back to where we left off. So when you're updating activities in a Primavera project, there are multiple ways to do it. And depending on how you were taught or what you have watched online or watched other people do, there's kind of two different theories about how to update a project. One of them is that you go ahead and update the data date to the whatever the current date is that you want to use. So we'd be changing the data date. And for anyone that didn't see, if you come up here and find the little clock icon that says schedule, that's the schedule function. And it's going to ask you for what data date you want to apply. Click on this one that says apply selected data date to all open projects. The one above it, all projects use their own data date. If you have multiple projects open and you want to use a different data date for each project, you can do that with that first radio button. I actually only try to work in one project at a time. And so I apply the selected data date to the open project. So One way that you can start your update is to go in here, select a new data date. I would just click over here to March 31st, which is the date that I was going to use for the data date, and say select and roll and schedule. And in fact, I'm going to do that. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to take a quick screenshot so I can undo my work if I need to. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and change my data date to March 31st and hit schedule. And now it's going to reschedule all of my activities using this new data date, but not changing any of the individual activity information. So maybe before I do this, let me show you what you're going to notice. Right here in my remaining duration column, it says 17 weeks on this 2024 planning and scoping activity. When I go in and update the data date and reschedule it, this 17 weeks of remaining duration is going to be the same. So basically, it's going to show this activity has been delayed 3 months or is going 3 months longer than what it was scheduled for right now. And you'll notice that with all of the active activities or all of the ongoing activities. So I click select, click schedule. It's going to roll through each of those activities. These activities, this one right here, the planning and scoping, and these other yellow ones, you'll notice they've all been pushed out, and you can see the baseline now is 3 months shorter than what it's currently scheduled for. So it just added 3 months of duration to that activity. What I would need to do now, if I'm doing my updating in this manner, is I would go through and I would say, oh, there's not 17 weeks remaining. Based on my notes, this activity is going to end, the 2024 scoping is going to end on March 29th. And since I used a March 31st data date, I would go in here and I would say it was finished. Oops. This activity is finished, and it's finished on March 29th. And now it readjusts my activity, the blue line, to say I have an actual finish of March 29th. And now that activity is done. I have an actual start date in November, an actual finish date in March. And you'll see over here, the activity ends. It looks like it's right on the data date, but if I zoom in far enough, you can see there's a gap. It's showing it's done before the current data date now. So that's one way to update activities. You move the data date, schedule it with the new date you're going to use, and then adjust the activities from there. I'm going to undo this and show you the other way, which is the way that I prefer. So I'm going to say it's unfinished, got 17 weeks remaining. I haven't tried this for a while, but I'm going to see if it will allow me to put my data date back to where it was on January 1st and see if it will unschedule these activities. We'll find out. Oh, there we go. Great. So now we're back to where we were before. This is exactly the view that we had prior to that method of updating the activities. The second way that you can update activities, and this is the way that I prefer, and you can do whatever you want, either way works. But for me, what I do is I calculate how many days, in our case, weeks, because all of these activities are scheduled with weeks. I calculate how many weeks have occurred from my previous data date to my current data date. And there's a couple ways you can do that. One of them that I have used frequently in the past is I'll just go get a date calculator, and you can calculate the days or the weeks between. So date duration calculator, days between dates. And I'll go in here and I'll say, how many days are there between January 1st and, oh man, I'm ahead of myself. We're only March 18th right now. Nobody said, hey, we're only March 18th. Why are you updating until the 31st of March? We're gonna, instead of March 31st, we'll use March 1. So,
Wait, your end date's still.
oops, sorry. Thanks, Dave.
I'm just testing this.
Thanks a lot. Also, depending on the settings on your P6 schedule, some schedules are built using a 7-day calendar. Some are built using a 5-day calendar. If you want to know how your activities are built, you can look here in your general settings down here, and it will tell you your activity calendar here. This tells you, and here's a little dialog box that pops up. This tells you how this activity is scheduled. So the current activity that I have highlighted, 22 planning and scoping, it's in blue. It's scheduled using a standard 5-day work week, which leaves out the weekends, leaves out typically holidays. It's actually the most common way that P6 activities are scheduled in my experience. The other way to do it, or another common way, is to use the 7-day work week. You'll see a couple of different options here. I think the majority of the schedules I've seen in the UTA environment are all done using the 5-day work week. And when you're considering, we're scheduling in weeks, so it's not clear the difference between there. But if you were to say this activity is going to take 15 days, if you're using a 5-day work week, that's going to be 3 weeks. If you're using a 7-day work week, then 15 days is 2 weeks plus 1 day. So you can see there's quite a bit of difference. And sometimes in schedules, you can get tripped up by different activities having different calendars. In this case, it's a 5-day work week. I'm going to jump in here back to my day calculator. And I'm going to say count only work days because I don't want weekends. And then I say calculate my duration. And now it's telling me 60 calendar days and 41 work days is the number of days that have gone by since or in between my two data dates. So 41 days, let's see, that's 6 weeks, almost exactly. So when I go in here and I say, okay, this activity has 17 weeks remaining, we just used up 6 weeks in between our last data date and this update. So I'm going to subtract 6 weeks from there. And if I don't want to change anything on this activity, I throw in 11 weeks. And now when I schedule it again, it will jump back out to, sorry, I'm speaking too quickly. The remaining duration now is only 11 weeks. 6 weeks, right? That's not feeling right. I guess it is. If we're excluding work days. Okay, so now I've got 11 weeks remaining, and if I schedule that, then it will give me the same end date in theory. And I've just accounted for the number of days that we have used in between our two data dates. I did it incorrectly. Sorry. Maybe I do. Maybe it is calculated in weeks instead of days. And so I need to actually account for how many weeks was that? 4.2, 4.2. That's 8.4 weeks. There we go.
Heidi's got a question.
Heidi, you got a question? Sorry, I'm babbling on.
No, you're just fine. I am just wondering, so I was always told that UTA, that you couldn't change whether it was based on a 5-day workday work week or a 7-day work week. But that clearly says that we can change that. Do you know who it is that sets the determination of why? I only ask because my guys often have projects that will end over the weekend. And so when I'm doing their schedules and having to calculate these, like that's probably the thing where I get confused the most is trying to figure out how to calculate my weeks correctly, knowing that I can't include weekends. And so I'm just wondering who decided that we're not counting weekends.
I'm not sure. I would have to, who did you hear it from originally? Was it in one of our project controls meetings?
It was actually just my direct training from Tori, and she had told me, the only reason she told me that, she said, we can't change it. So I don't think she was aware that there was a way to change it. And so I just, before I go changing things, if all of UTA is doing it on a 5-day work week, I don't want to be the one person that goes in there and starts setting a 7-day work week without finding out why we're doing it. But it would definitely be helpful for my project update for sure.
Brilliant. So I will, after this meeting, I'll email Pam Palla, who's
Awesome.
the scheduler that set up a lot of the bones and structure of the UTA program schedules.
Okay.
And I'll
That'll
ask
be
her if
awesome.
there's, yeah, I'll copy you. I'll copy you on it and find out if there's any reason that it needs to be specific to a 5-day work week, or if we can change certain activities to a 7-day work week.
Thanks, Hans.
Yeah, gladly.
You might just CC in the group.
Sure. You want me to CC the group on that also?
I don't think it could hurt anything to let everybody know. I bet there's.
Yeah,
a
I think
big-
it'd be good to
Yeah.
have that clarification.
Okay. Okay, so my apologies on the week versus days. My guess is that this is actually calculating 8 weeks, and it's recognizing automatically that 2 of the days in the week are non-work days. So my trick with calculating working days works specifically when you're scheduling in days instead of weeks. Apologize for confusing anybody if I have, but in this instance, we've left in between those 2 dates, January 1st and March 1st. In my mind, I always use 4.2 weeks per month. So we've actually gone 8.4 weeks, and I just rounded from 8 to 9 weeks. So I would go through and update each of these and subtract out that duration before I do my data date adjustment. I'm going to undo this one more time, show you my entire process. This was 17 weeks prior. There we go. Okay, so I've got over here, I'll drag it across so you can see it also. I have some notes here from the last time I met with our project manager about when the activities, what the new update should look like. So this 2024 scoping activity that we're on right now was actually done on March 29th. When activities get done, it's super easy to status them. You just come in here, you click finished, you go find, well, March 29th, sorry, we're not there yet. So we're going to be updating through March 1st. So I've got 4 weeks of activity remaining after March 1st. My bad for misspeaking there. Oh, I already marked it as finished, silly me. We've got 4 weeks remaining there after today's date. The 2023 product procurement, no change to that. So it'll have a current end date of the 3rd of May. I'm going to subtract the 8.4 weeks that we are saying. I'm going to call it 10 weeks there. You can actually put in the decimal, so I can put in 9.6, and then it automatically converts it to days. So if you need to adjust the individual day, Heidi or anyone, you can actually use decimals on your weeks, and it will change the day instead of instead of based on a week. My 2024 product procurement, actual start of February 5th. So I come in here, say it started on February 5th. Now I've got an actual start date for that. 30 weeks remaining. I want the end date to remain the same, so I'm going to subtract my 8.4 weeks again, and that's 22.6. And then we jump down here to 2023 construction. 2023 construction, no change. So it's already started. It already has an actual start date. And my end date right now is 31st of May, 2024. So I'm just going to change my remaining duration again, taking out the 8.4 weeks. So we're going to say 13.6. My 2024 construction. 2024 construction started on March 4th. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to give it an actual start date of, well, I can't do that. Huh, that's funny. So 36 weeks. We're going to leave that how it is. I'll play with that one at the end. So now that I've gone through and adjusted my remaining durations for what the new remaining duration is and subtracted out the amount of time that has passed from the last update until now, I'm going to go through and do my scheduling. I click my new data date of March 1st, select that, hit schedule. I'm just going to go through and reschedule the project for me. Now that I've done that, you do a little quality control. So 2024 planning and scoping is now finishing on the 28th of March. If I look in here, I wanted it to finish on the 29th of March. For me, that's close enough. These change and they're just a swag anyways. For some of you, you may need to be exactly precise on the day because you might need to hit like a weekend or a blackout date or a service change date or whatever. So if you want to, you may need to go in here and be like, okay, I've got 4 weeks in there. So let's say 4.1 and see if that changes it. Oh, there we go. It changed it to 29th of March. So if you need to, you can be more precise. For me, the way these schedules are managed in the FMA group, it's not necessary to be that precise, so I wouldn't typically have done that. But I'll go through and check the rest of these. So 2023 product procurement, no change on that one. And if I look and see at the end down here, I'm going to expand my timeline a bit. '23 product procurement. It looks like my activity has gone over a little bit, so maybe this is one where I would go 9.6 weeks, and it'll pull that back a bit. No, 9.2 weeks. There we go. So now it's back in line with where it was, because I didn't want that one to change at all. The end date anyway. 2024 product procurement. My notes say I wanted that to start on February 5th, so I make sure that's starting on February 5th. I did something funky here with my end date. So now I'm going to increase that back out to where it was. Where was I at? 30 weeks? Nope. I'm just going to look back at my little screen clip. Hang on one sec. So that one had a end date of 11th of October. So to get back to 11th of October, I'm on the 26th. That's 14 plus a little bit. So I'm maybe 32.5 weeks. Oops, 32 weeks. There we go. So now I'm back on the same end date on that one. Jump down to the next one that I updated. This is saying, go check my notes. Let's see, 2023 construction, no change there. I can see I'm overrunning a little bit now, so I'm going to go to 13 point. Come on. 5 weeks and see if that pulls me back. There we go. And my last one, final 2024 construction, started March 4th. Oh, we didn't actually start it on March 4th because we're not to March 4th yet. So I messed up this one. So I'm going to reschedule this now. See how, so I scheduled that incorrectly with that start date, meaning I had actualized the start date back on the 14th of February. Anytime you start or unstart a date, Primavera is going to let you know, are you sure you wanted to do that? And the reason that that happens is because it affects the logic pretty significantly in your schedule. So yes, I'm sure I want to do that. But now, in order to honor the relationships that are in P6, like my predecessors and successors, which we haven't talked to at all, but basically what P6 is going to do now is it's going to look at the activities that are listed as predecessors or successors to this activity, and it's going to go back and schedule the activities based on their predecessors and successors. That was kind of a departure of how we've talked, but I'm going to go ahead and reschedule using March 1, and it's going to bump that activity so that it's no longer started. You can see how the start of that date is now after the current data date, which is on March 1st. These timelines you can play with however you want to. You can tell it up here if you want to start with years and quarters. Just for clarity's sake, I'm going to go to year month right now and apply that, and you guys can see a little bit more closely since I've been talking March 1st and had a little bit of confusion in there with regard to what date we were using for the data date. You can see my data date now is right here, blue line on March 1st. And this activity I previously had started earlier. It's now bumped back. You can see the baseline down here was previously sometime in April when it was starting. And now we're starting March 4th. That will have happened because I changed the dates up above. Let's go see what this relationship is. So the relationship for 2024 construction is a start-to-start relationship, meaning construction starts 4 weeks after the start of this activity. So if I look up here at my 2024 product procurement, it started on the 5th of February, and this activity down here, actually, let me show you up here. You can see the successor, meaning the activity that has been scheduled as its logical follow-on is the 2024 construction. And the relationship is a start-to-start relationship, and it has a lag of 4 weeks. So this activity starts this 2024 construction activity starts 4 weeks after the activity that I'm currently looking at, which is the 2024 product procurement activity.
Does that work? I think I know the answer to this, but it works push and pull, meaning that if you adjust the latter date, then it calculates backwards 4 weeks.
If I wanted this to, if I said this was starting at a different date, would it change this one up here?
Yeah.
It won't. It only follows downstream. If I change something downstream, it doesn't automatically change something prior to that.
Okay. Good.
So now my 2024 construction, I didn't have a note in here about when it's supposed to end. It just started March 4th. But based on now this is just my interpretation as the project control specialist, knowing how projects play out. I think this is probably going to finish as it was before. So I'm going to take a quick look at what my notes were. This little screen clip that I grabbed shows my finish date was the 20th of December, 2024. So I'm going to jump back in here and recreate 20th of December. Let's see, between 8th of November and 20th of December, that's about 6 weeks. So let's say 42 weeks. There we go, back to 20th of December. So now I've gone through all of the activities that we just updated. I feel good about where their end dates are at. Everything looks copacetic with the notes that I've made. I always end by doing one more schedule update because there's a possibility that something you did inadvertently is going to have an impact on another schedule. So I'm just going to look at my last date, 20th of December. That's the latest date out there. I'm going to reschedule it again. It'll run through the scheduling process. And my hope is that once it's done, this 20th of December is the same. And it is. It went really quick that time because there were so few changes or no changes that it didn't actually need to think about resequencing the logic. So now that final date's still the same. And for this project, I would say my schedule updating is done. Now comes question and answer, or anything that was too confusing, or I talked too quickly, or I messed up on myself and you're like, why did you do that? Let's figure it out.
Yes, I'll export and drop it into book program.
We could. Should we show that there?
Exact questions.
Any questions? Any confusion? Any like, holy crap, I don't actually know any of this?
Are you willing to do a part 3 on successors and predecessors?
Yeah, gladly.
Awesome.
Should we just, do you want to jump into that right now? Do people still have brain power to look at that? I'm happy to if that's good, or we can reschedule another time if people are like, I'm a little brain numb.
I'm good with either. That one is just the most confusing, understanding the different successor and predecessor ones and how P6 applies in which order is where I get super confused on things.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm good if, yeah, I'm either way. Either people are down to go into it today or people need a second to process. That's fine.
I'm fine with it.
What if let's do it today still if people are okay, but I'm going to stop this recording so I can call it schedule updating basics part 2, and then we'll do a little recording for looking at predecessors and successors.
Sounds good.
Great, here we go. Let's see. Stop recording.